There's already a full-on war between both sides of the afterlife, so today we're ranking Hazbin Hotel characters from weak to powerful. Since every character in this series is supernatural to some degree, we've decided to start with a tier specifically for the characters who aren't quite in danger of taking over the underworld. These are the C-tier characters. Making for a pretty easy bottom spot choice are the Egg Boys. I can't imagine we need to explain this decision too thoroughly. The Egg Boys, as suggested by their name, are eggs. They're not big nor particularly strong, and their yolks are not exactly the best substitutes for brains. Given how fragile they are, they're generally used as little helpers for significantly stronger characters, so while they're great as support, there's not much room to doubt that they're the series' weakest characters. Landing in second to last place is news co-anchor Tom Trench. We can't say that we're entirely sure why Tom is constantly wearing a gas mask, or maybe it's just his face. It could make him more versatile in more toxic terrains. In any case, he's not really impressing us in terms of strength so far. He's physically pretty tiny and gets pushed around by Katie on screen constantly. Given the lack of any self-defense we see from him, unless Katie is just way stronger than we realize, it's safe to assume that Tom is relatively weak. That said, it's also safe to assume he's pretty durable given how much he gets pushed around. The same can be said for the character you were surely all waiting for, Mimsy. We're gonna give Mimsy some credit because, at the very least, she somehow managed to borrow $50,000 from some literal loan sharks, but rather than investing it in a controversial AMV, she just ran off to Hazbin Hotel to get some free protection from her old buddy Alistair. Whatever powers she may or may not have, the fact that she defaulted to seeking outside protection is a pretty strong indication that she can't compete with most of the Sinner demons.
Watch it, tall, dark, and creepy.
Her skills at dancing and showmanship might just give her the upper hand in a melee battle, but that's a big might. Now the character you've actually been waiting for, the legend himself, Fat Nuggets. We couldn't help but mention him, despite him being a pet with less than a minute of total screen time so far, because while Fat Nuggets doesn't have any powerful feats to speak of yet, there's also the fact of Razzle and Dazzle's transformations to consider. While they also start off as cute little pets, they can transform into gigantic, powerful dragons that can fly and fight pretty. There's no proof that Fat Nuggets has a similar transformation, and if he did, we feel like he would have probably sent Valentino to double hell by now, but we'd be surprised if there wasn't at least one skill he hasn't used quite yet. For now, we're giving him the highest placement we can. Now, we do know that Kiki has a transformation. It's just not much of an intimidating one. Doubling as a cat and the key to the hotel itself, Kiki's main powers are shapeshifting and agility. We wouldn't suggest counting on Kiki to get you out of a turf war, but she would definitely be useful in finding a place to retreat to if things get too intense. Everyone's favorite homophobic news anchor, Katie Killjoy, is up next. As we mentioned in Tom's entry earlier, she's constantly pushing him around on camera, whether it's by pouring hot coffee on his crotch or shoving him off screen effortlessly. Katie is physically strong enough to swat away weaker opponents like flies, well, provided they're as small and relatively powerless as Tom, that is. Rounding out the C tier is the only character flies should be even more wary of, Nifty. As the Hazbin Hotel's housekeeper, Nifty is obsessed with keeping everything neat and tidy. Her tiny size and ability to fly ensures that she can reach all those stubborn cobwebs, but what about her fighting skills? Well, while she's not exactly the most powerful attacker nor the most brilliant strategist, Nifty's more than capable of joining her friends in battle when her help is needed.
We're all gonna die!
Let's not forget that she was the one who dealt the finishing blow to Adam, after all, showing that she's definitely got some weapon proficiency on her resume. Nifty's strength comes from her unpredictability in battle more than anything else. There are much bigger threats, but Nifty's definitely the type you want on your side, so just give her a knife and tell her explicitly who to stab. But if you're looking to hire a Hellhound bounty hunter, you might want to consider the other resumes too. These are the B-tier characters. Kicking off this tier is our favorite duply armed actor, Angel Dust. As we saw in the pilot during his and Cherry's fight with Serpentius, Angel is skilled with a variety of weapons, most notably machine guns. While machine guns aren't exactly as dangerous in hell as they would be in the human realm, there's still nothing to scoff at, and with Angel having 4 arms at his disposal, we can assume that he has even greater control over his weapons than the average fighter. On top of that, he's shown to be able to fight alongside Cherry Bomb, showing that he's pretty agile and durable. Angel is a strong fighter who can hold his own in most cases. That said, it's here where we need to start considering the power dynamics in hell, specifically in regards to contracts. Angel Dust's soul is owned by Valentino, meaning that he's kept on a tight leash and that his freedom is limited. That said, he's been shown to have control over his actions when he's not on the clock, so he's still got some autonomy over his choices. Regardless, that lack of total freedom is an inherent downside that'll keep him from landing any higher. In a similar vein is our next character, Husk. Husk is one of the series' more intelligent characters. He's skilled in deceiving others and has a gift for gambling with literal souls. This made him a formidable overlord for a time, until he lost his own soul to Alistair. We place him a bit higher than Angel for two reasons. One, he's also capable of flight, in addition to his intellectual and practical skills, and two, he was an overlord at one point, meaning that we almost certainly haven't seen his full potential yet. Returning to villain territory, next is Velvet. Self-described as the backbone of the V's, and she said so in a musical number, so you know she meant it. Velvet actually might be more honest with that description than you'd think. Like the other V's, she's less of a blatant fighter and more concerned with her influence over Hell's media. With that being said, it makes sense that she's not much of a fighter from what we've seen, which really isn't too much, but she is resourceful, using her connections with Vox and Valentino to help spread their influence over Hell, and even being shown to have a potion business. While she's more of a string puller behind the curtain, Velvet is still audacious and formidable on even her worst day. Next is another overlord, Rosie. As the ruler of Cannibal Town, Rosie is noteworthy for keeping them, mostly, in check. Despite the nature of her job and culture, Rosie is a cool-headed and thoughtful person. She hasn't been shown to fight yet, and she seems to be one of the weaker overlords in terms of sheer power. Still, she's not to be slept on. Not being as strong as the other overlords doesn't take away from the fact that she is one, after all. Blowing up the next spot is Cherry Bomb. We mentioned that Angel was pretty skilled with weapons, but Cherry puts even him to shame. She is less of a gunhead though. As her name suggests, Cherry's specialty is kickboxing. Wait, nope, that's not right. Oh, okay, yeah, it's bombs. She can conjure them, throw them ridiculously long distances, and with her skillful aim, can be as reckless or precise as she needs to be with them. And while we were joking with the kickboxing line, it's worth mentioning that Cherry is agile and strong enough to fight alongside the rest of the hotel staff against the Angels, so the girl's got some moves and some stamina. The ever-reliable Razzle and Dazzle are sharing the next spot. You know the power levels of a universe are crazy when the literal dragons aren't even in the second highest tier. Razzle and Dazzle might look small at first, but their enormous transformations more than make up for that. They can provide transportation and battle support to Charlie and will do anything to protect her and her loved ones, with Dazzle even dying during his and Vaggy's fight with Loot. Now, rounding out B tier is everyone's favorite slithering redemption arc, Sir Pentious. As much of a goofball as he might be, Pentious is actually quite a threat in one-on-one combat. He has a huge arsenal of weapons at his disposal, from a giant airship complete with a death ray to a whip-like he can restrain and slam opponents with. Oh, and that's not to mention his army of egg boys who, although weak on their own, provide great support in his sometimes evil, usually good schemes. Given the sheer variety of skills and resources at his disposal, we think Sir Pentious deserves the highest spot in our middle-of-the-road tier. He was able to hold his own against both Angel and Cherry at once, and has been shown to have some powers he rarely uses, like briefly stunning Angel Dust with a hypnotic stare. Now that he's in heaven, who knows what he'll be capable of? We'll have to wait to find out. Meanwhile, you won't have to wait at all to find out who made it to our A tier. Valentino kicks off this category. We've yet to see a proper fight of his in the series so far, but given the sheer amount of influence he has, it's pretty safe to say that he'd probably do just fine in most scenarios. His charm rarely fails to sway those he's interested in, making him a man with friends in all sorts of places. Sadly, though, friends isn't a purely good term here. Valentino simply has a lot of people in a lot of places who are willing to do his bidding, or rather know better than to refuse him. That said, he's also short-tempered and lacks the composure that would be needed to win a battle of attrition. Basically, if he's overpowered by an opponent, he's not likely to make a comeback. Driven by detestation, Vaggy has managed to earn an honorable spot in the A tier. As a former Extermination angel, Vaggy has no doubt killed more than her fair share of sinners. Normally, being an angel would automatically get her an even higher spot on the list in terms of power, but sadly, an act of compassion led to her being stripped of both her wings and her position. As a result, Vaggy not only lost her powers, but most of her skills as well. It took intense training with Carmilla Carmine in order for her to regain her battle proficiency with angelic weapons, and even her wings ultimately. We only place her this low because, like we mentioned earlier, she's just now getting back into the swing of fighting. But given her newly regained angel wings and an arsenal of anti-angel weaponry, it's only a matter of time before we see even more of what Vaggy's made of. Fittingly, landing right above her is Carmilla. Just as Velvet suspected, Carmilla was the demon who managed to infamously slay an angel in defense of her daughters. It's one thing to have proficiency with weapons that most of Hell's people can use, but to be able to use weapons that are highly exclusive and able to kill angels is a huge plus for Carmilla's skill set. Given her skills at both dance and hand-to-hand combat, at the same time might I add, we can also assume Carmilla has no problem with endurance during a fight. Resourceful, intelligent, and durable, Carmilla's one of the toughest overlords we've seen so far. She's credited with dealing the very weapons the hotel used to defend themselves against the Extermination, which earns her a lot of brownie points on our list. But call us crazy if you will, we're going to give Vox the final spot in our A tier. Out of all the Vs, and perhaps the overlords in general, Vox is the one with a power set that most easily lets him gain control over others. He has control over electricity to the point where he can do anything from lighting his partner's cigarette to traveling across hell through various electric channels. Given his control over electricity, he also has the most direct control over hell's media out of the Vs. That said, we have to ask the same question as Alistair. Is Vox really as strong as he purports? We haven't seen him fight after all. While he has a ton of power and influence, he might truly just be the man behind the curtain. Currently, there's no telling how he'd do in actual combat, but in any case, he's earned a formidable spot on our list so far. We now enter the characters with such immense power that even the A-tier fighters pale in comparison. This is the S-tier. We could very well be wrong about Emily being the lowest in our S-tier, but we're fairly sure she at least belongs this high. At the risk of sounding biased, the reason is simple. Emily's an angel, not a fallen or wounded angel like Vaggie even. She's pure, bona fide angel. As such, while we haven't seen Emily fight yet, her angelic powers are surely immense if she works on relatively even footing with Sarah. But with no feats to go off of, we sadly can't place her any higher. She's not as pleasant of an angel, but Lute absolutely earned her place as Adam's second in command. Lute can fly, has highly trained senses, is proficient in melee combat, and, of course, has mighty angelic power. She's also among the fiercest fighters in Adam's army, to the point where even Adam himself is sometimes put off by just how angry she gets. Oh, and let's not forget that she killed Dazzle pretty easily despite his massive size. Now, it feels downright wrong to place Alistair outside of our top 5. Having appeared out of absolutely nowhere, Alistair toppled high-ranking overlords like it was nothing, and when he finally returned 7 years later, Charlie's Hotel would act as a testimony to his power. Alistair has great powers of conjuring and transformation, able to protect the hotel with minimal effort even against strong opponents. When Serpentius manages to take a single thread off his suit, Alistair tells him that's near the absolute closest anyone's come to actually hitting him. With all that being said, it might seem ridiculous to place Alistair anywhere below the top 3 at least, but there's one factor we have to consider: contracts. Yes, Alistair is the last character on our list whose soul is on a tight leash bound to someone else. That's not to say that he's not extremely powerful. He was able to fight on even footing with Adam, a top-ranking angel, until his staff was broken. But the fact of the matter is, Alistair still has limitations on his power. And hopefully it's only a matter of time before we get to see his full power unleashed, on the good side, hopefully. Entering the top 5 is our final overlord, the mighty Zestial. Minimal screen time aside, Zestial lands this high on our list for the simple fact that he's the oldest overlord in hell. We haven't seen him fight yet. In fact, the only power of his we've really seen was him conjuring a cup of tea out of thin air. Nonetheless, his eternally cool head and the fact that even Alistair seems to respect and maybe even fear Zestial makes him a character we want to keep our eyes on. Just outside of the top 3 is the leading lady herself, Charlie Morningstar. It's easy to forget just how insanely powerful Charlie actually is in an objective sense. Being the daughter of Lucifer and Lilith, Charlie has some angelic attributes, aside from her personality, and some demonic ones. She has the wings of an angel, allowing for flight, and the transformation abilities shared by many demons. When she fought Adam, she managed to fling him into a wall with one hand and made him bleed. Let us reiterate, Charlie, without even using her full power, made the top-ranking Extermination angel bleed. Charlie isn't one to fight often, but when she does, you'd better watch out. That said, while we don't yet know the nature of her deal with Alistair, it could potentially threaten at least some of her power. But either way, these last 3 characters are even stronger. The Bronze Medal of Power goes to Adam. The ever-entertaining main villain of the season, Adam, like in the biblical lore, is the first man ever created. Unlike in biblical lore, however, he's also a psychopath who approves of genocide. Any angelic power that could apply to other angels applies doubly to him. He can fly, levitate, conjure objects, has great resilience, and can only be harmed by those at or near his power level, and only if they have angelic weapons or power of their own. We hate to have to relive this moment, but let's think back on Serpentius' demise in the final battle. That gigantic airship we gave him praise for earlier? Sure, it got destroyed by Alistair once before, but he's also much stronger in general. So surely it'll put up some fight against Adam, right? Okay, and there we go, he one-shots it. Like, poof, just a giant death ray to the face. It's hard to even imagine someone more powerful than a guy who can do that without breaking a sweat. But the Silver Medal of Power goes to the final full-on angel of the list, Sarah. Sarah is the highest-ranking angel we've met so far. While Adam is the leader of the Extermination army, Sarah is the one who approved of their pitch out of what she saw as necessary. This begs the question, though, of why Sarah isn't participating. Is she just not strong enough to keep up with Adam? Not likely. So, on the contrary, we've got a feeling that Sarah is prioritizing her image and that of heaven as a whole by staying out of the conflict. Obviously, this doesn't work forever, but Like, she's a top-ranking angel. If Sarah has authority over even Adam to the point where he has to ask her permission to go to war, surely she has some crazy amount of power we don't know about, right? Well, in any case, the gold medal of power was definitely the easiest decision we made on the list. It's a tie between Lucifer and Lilith. Lilith is the one who civilized hell and made it what it is. Lucifer, on the other hand, is just a powerful showboat in every sense of the word. Don't let his goofy demeanor fool you. Lucifer has a list of skills that stretches farther than Nifty's criminal record. Pretty much any power we've mentioned a demon or angel having so far, Lucifer either has, such as flight, immense angelic power, and conjuring, or can imitate. Even aside from his sheer fighting prowess, shown by him absolutely decimating Adam when rebuilding the hotel, Lucifer was able to conjure up all the materials needed to get the job done in no time. We might not have seen Lilith fight yet, but there's no doubt she's just as tough as Lucifer, if not, potentially more so. And if the theory of her being the one owning Alistair's soul is true, oh, Charlie, you're gonna have quite the power to inherit.